Well, Kyle?
Yes, get.
He's back!
Welcome, my friends, to the testing ground of creation at Heaven's Edge, Elpis.
Target located in subterranean core power accumulator. Projecting image.
My home. My friends. No more than a dream. Oh.
But it's time for dinner. Time for more chai, or wine, if that's your choice.
I had a cocktail, unless they're serving wine with ice cubes.
Oh.
Which
nice.
grosses me out. Don't put ice cubes in your wine. What are you doing? No, if anything, it looked like a mule. At the very beginning of this cutscene, where we sit down for the feast with the Scions, after unlocking role quests, Alisaie says, quite literally, where do we go from here? Holy shit, is this a loaded sentence? This is the same cutscene where it ends with Graha going, you should talk to Elpis, which we know basically means you should go time travel. This is bonkers. I thought we were going to Ishgard because we saw a person start turning black and white over in Ishgard. Also in Alamigo.
Oh, but you want to deal with the symptoms and not the cure.
I don't want to. It's just it was the only dangling thread I had left to pull.
I love this. We noted back then the little twinkle, twinkle, twinkle into the tower. It happened. It was right there, 5.3. And I'm so happy we pulled this thread. I was going to say the more they use Elpis, the more I like him. I guess they ended it, so it's over. He's gone. But I really liked how quickly we got back to Elpis as a useful tool and how we dismissed him by using him up. Like, it's a beautiful thing. It was a great reference, a great callback, extremely useful.
Yeah, this makes me like Elpis. I haven't liked Elpis this entire time. I haven't liked Elpis. I didn't like him after 5.3, and this is what I needed. I needed to actually meet sane Elpis.
I think the exploration of his fractured memory was interesting. After someone who was so focused like Emmett, obviously it didn't feel as well thought out. But now we have a chance even to meet old Elpis or something like that. We got to talk to him in a bit of sanity. And it was a cool exploration of the character.
Phenomenal voice acting, too.
Where to begin? The end.
Oh, yeah. The way, whoever that is, has a way of talking with profound weight.
As the avatar of those mortal heroes who fought unfalteringly.
Is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Hey everyone, sitting here, editing this video, and I want to remind you that there's just a few days left on our Bromance Studio push. We are 25 paid members short on our Patreon. So head on over to supportourbromance.com if you like what Kyle and I do together, and you want to support it, and you also want to help us get just a little more of a push for the funding for the studio space where we're going to be working together, making videos together in the same place, in the same state. It's so close. Thanks, everybody.
Well, before we get to Elpis, we go to the first. We have a nice little check-in with most of the characters we would want to check in with. More voice-acted cutscenes with Lena, please. What are you doing, game? How dare you? This is my big lingering question with all of this. So I'm just going to rip it now because it makes sense to talk about while we're talking about Reen. Why isn't Hydaelyn talking to us? Or to Reen? Where is Hydaelyn? The game went through the trouble of having us read Watcher logs on the moon, and the Watcher even themselves explaining to us that, oh yeah, no, Hydaelyn's just been like using so much of her power just to maintain the prison for Zodiark that now that the prison's gone and Zodiark is gone, shouldn't Hydaelyn be the strongest we have ever experienced? Where is she? What is she doing? Why? Where'd she go? And then we go and meet Reen, because even in the scene where Graha tells us to go talk to Elpis, Y'shtola points out that Hydaelyn would have the answers. And then it's just like, but we haven't talked to her since Tower of Babel. And then I'm like, game, that's interesting. And game's like, isn't it? Moving on. We get to the first and no one's concerned. Everyone's like, it's hunky-dory since you left. Everything's going great. The only person that seems a little off is Reen. And she explains that it's because she's the speaker, but she's never actually like talked to Hydaelyn. She's never actually talked to Hydaelyn, and in recent days, she says that Hydaelyn has felt near, far, wherever you are. And then eventually, it felt like their connection was severed entirely. What is that? What happened there? We get no answers about it. So that's the big dangling question for me here, Kyle. I don't know if you've been thinking about it, but
yes, she is. There is, of course, the element that she didn't take a bunch of spirits, all the half the people with her to power her. So she may just be low on power despite having a greater presence and influence with Zodiark gone. Certainly, if you're maintaining that many swords of revealing light at one point, there, I did it, you're going to be a little expended. Your mana bar is going to be constantly going down. Now she's freed up. Isn't she regenerating? What gives? My theory is that Hydaelyn's doing a bit of a don't get close to me, kind of business. She's violent. She's a primal. And she wants to fulfill her duty, save you or else, to the maximum, but she's also been implanted the heart of Vina, this extremely, as we can assume, petting a dog. Who doesn't, only good people pet dogs. This extremely passionate, caring soul on the inside. I think she's self-sabotaging. Hydaelyn likely is capable of solving everything. And it might be more of a world destruction kind of way. I can't let the final day spread to other stars.
Yeah, you just made me think of something that I haven't thought about until this point, which is Hydaelyn created the contingency, but only for the source. She's playing favorites. She's got a favorite. It's the source, and it's not the reflections. And so if the Scions want to save everybody, we're now opposed to the will of Hydaelyn. Like, think about it for a minute, Kyle. We are actually opposed to Hydaelyn's will, because Hydaelyn's original plan was imprison Zodiark, and failing that, Hydaelyn's plan is everybody on the source, get on the moon and get somewhere safe. All the other reflections, sorry, I just don't care about you that much.
Well, it's interesting because Hydaelyn's purpose was to defeat Zodiark. She couldn't. He was too powerful, so she sealed him with the old hop-on-pop split maneuver. And in doing so, she had to make a new plan to figure this out. I wouldn't be surprised with Zodiark gone if her main objective would be to rejoin everything again, because her core purpose was to save the Ancients. Rejoining them would be now on her docket with Zodiark off the list. So I think she is a benevolent spirit who wants to protect, but what Vina wants and what Hydaelyn wants differ. And she's got the power to do it now, so Vina is likely taken Hydaelyn into some sort of prison of her own make.
Reen's got me cooking, man. Reen's got me cooking. But back to Elpis, it's a phenomenal scene. It is the final piece of the Elpis puzzle that I needed to enjoy the character. And I can't believe this is the direction the game took us.
Welcome, my friends, to the testing ground of creation at Heaven's Edge, Elpis.
So we get to go to the unsundered world Specifically Elpis, which we find out is not just a flower, but actually a location on the Unsunder world, which was a testing facility where the ancients tried to see if their creations held any merit.
Licensed, boxed them, and shipped them. Elpis lets us know, as we're about to depart, that Fandaniel is head of where we're off to, and he's got a different name when he's hanging out there. Hermes.
Yeah, all the ancients seem to have like a Greek name. Emmet has Hades, and we find out that Fandaniel has Hermes. And very specifically, like, Elpis even makes it a point to point this out, which really I love, because I had this whole pet mind thought going on during all of this, is that anytime we were dealing with Fandaniel, it was really Amon, because he didn't care about the station of Fandaniel. He didn't care about Fandaniel's memories other than using them for his own purposes. It was really Amon that was driving the vehicle there, and I felt fully vindicated when we saw Amon there at the end during Fandaniel's death. And now here is Elpis really driving that point home, that we need to go talk to Fandaniel. Now we know Hermes, and that the person we're about to go find is the real deal. This is the actual Fandaniel, not the warped, twisted, selfish Amon version.
The Amon inside Asahi. And yeah, there's a couple layers to what Fandaniel is. I'm excited to meet who Hermes is.
Which isn't dissimilar from the experience we have with Elpis. We thought Elpis was one thing and turned out to be another. And looks like we're gonna do something similar with Fandaniel, unless we meet him and he's running around spinning, being theatrical, and being kind of a prick.
He could. But it still won't be Asahi's face attached to it, so it'll be refreshing.
Are you excited to go to a testing facility? Because I feel like this is squarely in the bucket of things we both enjoy.
Oh yeah, this is WizBiz, man. I'm excited to see Wizard testing facility. Absolutely.
Oh, you know what? Damn it. I'm just now putting it together, too. Right before Elpis Doc Browns us to Elpis, he swears he saw us. He has this line about, I saw you on Elpis. And you and I, in the moment, we were even talking during the stream, and I think you even said, oh, well, he must have seen Azim in Elpis, right? Because we have the same soul as Azim, so why? But no, I think he actually is in the middle of a paradox. I think he's in the moment where he's about to send us to the past, and because we're about to go to the past, suddenly his memory is being affected with a new past memory of bumping into us, which means I think we're going to bump into Elpis, and I'm calling it, we're going to run into Elpis, Kyle.
Oh yeah, no, we have to. It's the end. It's Endwalker. You got to meet all the characters as they were once seen, establish them. Yeah.
What are you going to do? Send us to a land where we can meet all of our favorite characters who are dead and not actually have cool dead characters in your dead expansion?
Well, and we could visit Elpis' VR simulation of the time period, but why not actually go there? Because we have the time machine. We destroyed the time machine, but it's fine, right? Would the twinning just destroy the time machine, ruin this?
I thought that's what we were to take away from the twinning, but I guess not. So the twinning's even stupider.
Okay, I think I can solve this. Ancients have way more power than Graha and a bunch of scientists. Bam, done.
So we arrive on Elpis. We are translucent. Can't talk to anybody, can't interact with anybody, can't even attune to the aetheryte. And we very quickly run into two characters that made me just so happy. So very, very happy.
I believe the technical term is squee. Squee is what you're looking for.
Oh, yes. I may have squeed. During this moment.
Yeah, with the eyes.
Dude.
It's a visage. I mean, obviously meant to be imposing. A great buddy cop duo.
Yeah, that we meet the Hith bromance, which is, of course, Emmet Selk and Hythlodaeus in their original ancient forms. I have seen both of these characters. I think Emmet was on the launcher at some point. I know this version of Emmet has shown up on my Twitter feed before. I am certain I passed somebody with a white wig in this kind of hairstyle while at FanFest.
Oh, here's the sandwich. It's the sandwich guy.
Okay. All right. It's this hero. People are getting sweaty about us being on their main page for spoiler reasons. But,
that lady's there, the mama someone or other. Like Twitter loves their mommies. The Endwalker's nothing but mommies. So I guess
I don't know.
a mommy was on screen.
Every time I thought it was Estinian with a haircut. No one believes me, but I will say this to you. Wouldn't you, if you saw something in passing and you didn't want to scrutinize it further, wouldn't you go, no, Garley and I, must be the other cool white-haired character?
It makes enough sense. And also, white-haired characters and anime stuff, like, it just happens. Not going to concern myself.
Now that I'm allowed to scrutinize it, I realize that there's no Ella's in ear. Also, the yellow eyes are a bit of a giveaway that it's not the same character. But Emmett also doesn't have yellow eyes when we see him in Solace's body.
I don't think it's any mystery if you've been following the channel for a while. I don't get out of bed for humanoid characters. Just a bunch of humans. I'm not going to pay attention. All my Twitter business was on old Bird Girl. That's where I saw everywhere. 2021, Twitter was abuzz with Bird Girl.
Well, she is literally Twitter. I mean, she's a blue bird.
She's blue and do fan art or something of the Bird Girl.
She represents Twitter before the great Twitter sundering.
I honestly thought this was Canary. We were in Shadowbringers. There was a little girl gonna be sent to Vothri to be ascended. Little Canary.
Oh, the singing
blue
girl
bird
that couldn't
girl?
sing anymore?
Like it made, she kind of looked like a not evil White Warden. So I just thought, hey, there it is. Some sort of... We're going to run into Canary again.
And this is what happens when people are really worried about spoilers. I jump to insane conclusions that make no sense. She's got to be Hermes' invention. Like a creation from Hermes that Hermes is testing out.
Yeah, she even says, oh, look, Hermes, or something along those lines, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because we get the Welcome to Elpis intro cutscene, which has no Emmett voiceover, by the way. Which I think is a lovely little touch.
Yeah, because he's right next to us.
Because every zone up to this point has a zone intro done by Emmett Selk, and this one doesn't have one. But yeah, no, we get that intro cutscene, so we get to behold Elpis in all its gray, foggy glory, courtesy of the game's real-time weather.
So nice we had to enjoy it twice.
Yeah, sure. And we see Twitter Girl talking to Hermes, I guess, who kind of has like a Derplander haircut. And I'm assuming that's Vana with is it Argos, the dog?
Yeah, Argos.
The name for the dog. So we see Vana, even though they're question mark, but we're like, that's the Heidelin model, which means that must be Vana. And she's petting the dog that we know was put on the moon by Heidelin.
And when we arrive, Emmett and Hythlodaeus accuse us of being a construct of Azim.
A familiar.
Yeah. So why wouldn't Vienna have their familiar and Hermes have their familiar? This is the familiar zone. This is Poke Battle Room.
Oh, I would play that game. Just give me Pokemon with the Ancients familiars. I'd play that game.
Ancients of Creation.
And you get into the first beast and the blasphemies, and it would be there'd be so many monsters you could collect. It'd be great.
Team Ascian Rocket.
Pocket First Beasts. Yeah,
there we go. You Pocket Beasts.
Pocket Beasts. I'd play it. I would play it. This scene was just delightful. We found the actual bromance within Final Fantasy XIV. They're talking like friends out for lunch in the city, and Hythlodaeus is giving Emmett a hard time because Emmett's got to go to Elpis on business, and Hythlo goes with him as a favor, and he's negging him the fact that you should use your creation magics to make this mirror of Azim that we're seeing corporeal so we can actually interact with it as a favor to me since I came with you, buddy. Came all this way. It's very human writing. These are very well realized characters, and it is absolutely you could accuse it of being fan service, but I think it's too well executed to just leave it at that. But it is absolutely making good on a desire of fans that liked the character of Hythlodaeus and understand that person was very important to Emmett. It's so nice to actually get a scene where we get to see these two characters in their prime interacting with each other.
And you need to lean into the fan service part. Otherwise, you end up in, how do you portray basically gods? They need to be relatable on some front. It kind of has I don't know, to me, it's more of a Liberty Bell sort of vibe with all the brick, but it's very government building kind of in here.
I think it's hilarious because when I saw Amarat, the first thing I thought of was Bioshock. And when I saw Elpis in the sky with like the red brick, I thought of Bioshock Infinite.
And it still has those twisting DNA-like spires that remind you of Amarat, but it doesn't quite have that tinge of evil about it.
I like that. I hadn't thought of it as a DNA helix, but that makes a lot of sense because they're creators.
They're creating, yeah.
Yeah. Huh. And then we get absolute fan services where we get the Emmett Snap before we're made corporeal, which was...
Oh, absolutely.
I was just happy to see him slouch.
Yeah, you were excited for the slouch, yeah.
I'm a fan of Emmett Slouch.
The main thing they landed here is the presence. And the eyes are doing a lot of heavy lifting, you know? They lock eyes with those crazy golden eyes. You're going to be like, oh, excuse me, sir. But it communicates a power and a threat, but everything's peachy.
It's a brilliant way to bring the character back. I thought, and you know, who knows? Maybe we are still going this route, right? With the mention at the beginning of Endwalker, she says that she brought Minfilia's soul back to the ethereal sea of the source because she loved this world so much.
Her, and another who may yet have a part to play.
She also teases that she did the same for another. I assumed it was Emmett Selk. And I thought that we were going to get into some shenanigans of being visited by or going and visiting the souls that exist within the ethereal sea of the source. And that was how we were going to check back in with some fan favorite characters like Minfilia and Emmett Selk. I thought this was the reason that...
And lo, vile beasts did rise.
Emmett is doing voiceover, because if you're hitting me with Emmett voiceover throughout all of Endwalker, my brain goes, at some point we're going to have to see Emmett again somehow. And I started reaching out for all of the ways that could potentially happen. And I really locked in on the mystery of who the second person was that Heidelin ferried to the ethereal sea on the first, or on the source. And I guess that could still happen, but I wasn't expecting this at all, because you and I both aren't a huge fan of just bringing characters back from the dead. And this isn't bringing a character back from the dead. This is visiting a character while they were still alive.
With more than enough justification for how we got here, because we built on the lore of the moment. The scene you're describing is easier. Frankly, just line up all the characters in death, have them talk to you one at a time. It's boring. This is way more exciting.
Yeah. And you get to, and it's the character at a different point, and they get to be different. They don't, not only does Emmett look different because he's in his original ancient form, but he's not our adversary that we meet in Shadowbringers. This is Emmett, the leader, you know, of the convocation of the 14.
The mask is still a little suspect, though. You know, it looks a little evil in there. I know the convocation, they had other civic duties than, you know, destroying the world accidentally and trying to save it at the same time. But I am very curious to get into the lore of the masks, whether that is just you get yourself a seat, you get a nice upgrade. Why do you need masks? Why do the masks need to come off when we come here for security reasons? What's the deal with the masks?
What's the deal with the wigs back in the day for our founding fathers?
Sometimes fashion just does weird shit. Clearly, there's an importance to being on the convocation. You know, there's only 14 seats after all. But how did we end up in this system, these security measures, and what even is Elpis? Why does it exist? It's easy to think of the ancients in their godlike powers as having a paradise, but why would you need this patent security check?
I have a feeling we're about to find out, but we paused before the tour. I can't believe he's back. I mean, I can, but I don't know what I was expecting, man, but it wasn't this. Are we going to meet ourselves?
Oh, yeah.
What do you think is are we going to meet every damn I don't think we meet all the 14. Maybe we have a scene where we actually attend a meeting of the 14, but like all 14 members, I don't think are important to us, unless there's some kind of revelation.
It'd be a lot of characters to meet. It would be a bit much.
Are there 14 gods? 12. Oh, yeah, they say by the 12.
Oh, and there's 12 Olympians.
Oh, well, there you go.
Interesting. Yeah, and those wouldn't match because Hades isn't one of the gods you can select as one of the 12s, unless, of course, we have a telephone problem that we get into.
Well, the gods aren't all Greek names in 14.
Yeah, what I'm saying is there could be like a telephone thing where like they knew sort of about Hades, but his name changed over time and cultures.
So we only have a few more times to be wrong, Kyle. Where do you what do you call him? What's happening? I think we run into Elpis again. I think we're meeting ourself. I think we're gonna have a scene. Where we meet Azim.
Yep.
What does Azim look like? Azim just gonna look like Ardbert? Just gonna look like the Warrior of Light stand-in? Just so keep things simple.
Because Emmett kind of has like an Emmett Solus-like quality to him. So I think that'd be the easiest way to go about it. Because if you pick anything else, every character's looking unique. You can't pull that off.
I was curious about this, and this is what's leading me down this line of thinking, is that they refer to Azim as him in the lines that are delivered by Emmett and Hythlodaeus here. And
true.
If we're going to meet Azim, I think they needed to make a call on what they look like, because otherwise, if you're going to go him or her based on how you make your own Warrior of Light, I don't think it's a character they're going to swap between two body types.
No, and you already established that up in the Azim step. Wait, is it called?
And they made a call with it with Ardbert, right? Ardbert is a reflection of us, and Ardbert is just Ardbert, regardless of how you made your Warrior of Light.
Wait, is it really called the Azim step? Did I only just put that together?
Oh my God.
But the Sun Father, the Moon Mother, all that kind of lore all holds up.
I'm just now putting that together too. Every time this game brought up gods, I was just like, it goes all the way back to when I made my character and I asked you and other people, does it matter what god I pick? And everyone went immediately no. I was just like, okay, gods aren't important in this game. So if the gods do end up being important, color me embarrassed. But yeah, I think a lot of revelations are in store because we're going to meet actual Hermes. We're going to find out what Fandaniel was truly like. We're going to get to hang out with Emmett before he became an antagonist. Hythlodaeus, who wouldn't want to hang out with Hythlodaeus? Hythlodaeus only got cooler by meeting the actual Hythlo. And yeah, I don't think you send us into the past with the ancients and you don't have us meet ourselves.
We're sleuthing. We have a mystery to solve. And the whole point of all this is we're going to pull off what the ancients could not.
We haven't even mentioned this entire time, but we're off to find the source of the final days, which was something the ancients never did.
Good luck, I guess.
Yeah. Curious how it's going to help with us by talking to the ancients if they couldn't even do it. And Elpis himself says we can't change things in the past because it would cause a paradox. Although, God, something I really haven't come to terms with yet? Xenos feels really small potatoes now that we're just like hanging out with the Hith bromance. It makes Xenos interesting after all this.
I think a lot of it is dependent on what his shade is about and what he did to get that power. Because from the cutscenes we've seen, he just kind of picked up a weapon off the ground.
Yeah, Xenos as a big bad, just he feels incidental. Like the final days are here. Like everyone can become a murderous monster. Although it would be kind of interesting if Xenos became what would Xenos turn into? Ooh, maybe Xenos could just turn into a monster. And fight whatever Xenos turns into.
Convenient old lady turned into an abs monster, so there's no end of days monster analysis to really do. I mean, kid turned into the small one, but mom elephant turned into an abs monster too. But apparently there's head elephants, but not all elephants turn into elephants, so there's not really a system at play.
Yeah, but after getting to Elpis, like Xenos just feels like how do you make Xenos an interesting threat after I have already fought Zodiac and fucked off to the past in a time machine to meet like the two coolest characters in this game.
Yeah, I don't know if because then he just kind of farted off too and didn't mess with the Loporrits, and granted that wouldn't have been good sport killing a bunch of bunnies, but it would mess with our plans, so I'm still in the frenemy kind of territory. Like, I got to put you down, bro. But also, hey, let's do this together.
Yeah, he seems so nihilistic that I don't think, I think my hopes for frenemy status has sailed.
I don't think there's any chance he turns into a monster. Like, what would make Xenos despair? You tell him no on a play date? Like...
Yes, Kyle, actually, yes.
That's it? Like, you refuse to duel him in hardcore WoW and he gets upset about it?
Like what if, Xenos thinks we die before getting to fight us? What if Xenos thinks something kills the Warrior of Light?
Okay.
Wouldn't that make Xenos despair? It's literally the only thing that character is living for. I'm not saying it's what's going to happen, but if he does turn, I think that's how it happens.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Be very interesting.
Makes sense within the rules as I understand them.
Plus, with the artificial echo and all that, he could become one honey of a monster. He might be packing some serious ether / Akasha.
He is an Ascian in all but name.
Yeah, we're gonna get some Akasha answers, right?
Well, we have to, because that's like the confusing part about talking about the final days right
like,
now.
We're on Elpis. What if we just stroll in? What if they didn't even know? Like, what if we just stroll in and we're like, hey, some of this stuff actually isn't ether, and then all those smart ancients in the room go, holy shit, we never considered that, and then they crack the mystery on Akasha and they figure out what caused the final days.
What if it's like a really, really bad Marty McFly situation where we show up on Elpis and we're like, hey, have you guys heard about the final days? And they're like, the what? And they just start freaking out. It's just like, what did he say? He said the final days. Oh my God. It's just like, we're the apocalypse.
We are our own paradox.
Yep.